Okay, you're kind of doing what you have been working on, but some weird things are going to happen on this assignment. Okay, you have 3 of them to do, only 3. So solve the system. So you graph each line and determine where they intersect. Now, take this red marker. The side of the Y, I kind of make an imaginary dash line in each one. Is the Y by itself right here? It is. So I don't need the blue paper. Okay, I can do my M and B right now. So I put a 1, that's my M, and that's my B. To make that a fraction, we put a 1 under it. So I go plus 3. And then from there, I'm going to go up 1, forward 1. Okay, that's my slope. So I take my ruler and make that line as straight as I possibly can. Now, how about the other one? Is the Y by itself on one side of that red line? It is again. So I put a 1 because that's my M. In front of the X is always the M, MX. Put a 1 under it because that has to be a fraction, then B. So this time it says minus 1, so I want to go down 1, and then from there I go up 1, forward 1. Okay, so up, forward. And we always go forward. So take your ruler, make that line. But you had a little problem here. They don't cross. So what they are known as parallel. When you have parallel lines, you write no solution. Okay? Okay, no solution. They're parallel. The reason they're parallel is because your slopes were exactly the same. They started in different places. That one was plus 3, this one was minus 1, but they both went up 1, over forward 1, so that's always going to result in a parallel line. Okay, now the next one. The Y's on this side, okay. Now the first one is the Y by itself. It is. So we have our M, put a 1, and we have our B. Okay, so we were ready to graph it. So minus 4. And then from that point, I go down 1, but I still go forward 1. Okay, I go down 1, forward 1. Okay, that's all the solutions for the first equation, but we got some problems in our second equation. And that's the fact that the red line's there, but there's other stuff besides just Y, so I don't have my M and B. So I go to scratch paper like yesterday, and I copy down 4x minus Y equals negative 1. Put a 1 there. Now remember, we need that to be a plus 1y, so I go negative, plus, plus. Okay? Now we circle it, we get rid of our negative 4x. So I plus 4x, and I make a 0x, and I'll plus 4x to that, because I can't plus it to the 1, so I make a 0x of whatever letter it is and put it there. So I have 1y. Do your x's first. 0x plus 4x is 4x, and then I put the plus 1. You got to do it in that order. So now I divide everything by 1 because of this, and y now is by itself. 4 divided by 1 is 4x. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So I now have my m and my b. Okay? So plus 1 is my b. Okay? And then from there, 4 is positive, so it's up and forward. So I go up 4, forward 1, forward 1. And these are going to cross, okay? So when they cross, we mark the point where they cross, and then off to the side, we write what that point is. So I always start in the middle of the graph. I have to go this way, backwards 1. Now I'm right above it, so negative 1 because I went backwards. And then from there I have to go down 1, 2, 3. So I went down, so it's negative 3. Okay, next one. First equation, the y is not by itself, so I go to my scratch paper. 6x minus 2y equals 6. So again, I want a plus in front of the y, so I go negative, positive, negative. So I have to get rid of my negative 6x, so I put plus 6x, then I create a 0x, and I can plus 6x to that. So 2y, 0x plus 6x is 6x, I put that first, and then plus negative 6. Then I divide everything by 2, and I now have y equals 3x plus negative 3. And now I have my m and my b. Yes, okay. So b is negative 3. It's just like minus 3, so I go down 1, 2, 3. And then from there I go up 3 and forward 1. Okay. Now look at the second equation. Here's the little wall. Is the y by itself? No, there's a 3 with it, so we better go to our scratch paper. So remember, here's the y. Got to make a wall on that side. Now your 3 is positive. It's a plus 3y, so you can circle that, okay? Now you don't have an x outside of there. See, here you had that x in the front. Now you don't have it, okay? So you don't have to add or subtract anything, okay? So I don't add or subtract like I'm doing here, okay? I don't make the 0x, okay? There's no x outside of that circle. So I go right to the dividing part. It's like I get to skip that step, okay? So I just go divide by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3x, and 9 divided by 3 minus 3, okay? And now you have your m and your b. So again, we want to make that wall, circle it, but if there's no x on that side, okay, I don't have to add or subtract it. I go right into dividing. So minus 3 is my b, okay? Oh, there's already a point there. Then from there I go up 1, forward 3. Oh, something weird's happening here. It's the exact same line. So you write same line. And when you have the same line, it's something called infinitely many solutions. Okay, infinitely many solutions. You can also write IMS, okay? That's because these are the exact same equation. They are because when I graphed it, they were the exact same line. So infinitely many solutions. Okay, this one, here's the y. So on this side, I make that wall, okay? So again, the y is not by itself in the first equation, so I need to use my scratch paper. 3x plus y, I'm going to put a 1 there, equals 2. I already have my plus 1y, so I don't change the signs because I want that to be plus. You have this 3x you need to subtract, so I create my own 0x there, and I subtract 3x from there. So we have 1y. Do your x's first. 0 minus 3. 0 minus 3 is negative 3x. And then the plus 2. And then I divide by my 1. Okay. So negative 3 divided by 1 is negative 3x. 2 divided by 1 is 2. So now the y is by itself, and I have my m and b on the other side. So plus 2 is my b. And then from there I go down 3, but I still am moving forward 1. So that's all the solutions for the first equation. Okay, now the second one, the y is not by itself. There's no x on that side, Okay, just a 4y, so I can skip the first step, but I still need to do some work, okay? It's positive 4y, but we don't have to add or subtract the x because the x is already over there. I just need to go right to the dividing by 4 part. So negative 3 divided by 4, negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3x, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So we have m and b. Okay, so plus 3 this time. 1, 2, you're up 1, okay? And then I go down 3, forward 1. Down, because down 3, forward 1. They're not the same line. They're a little bit off, okay? But they still never cross, okay? They're parallel, okay? So when they're parallel and they don't cross, that's a no solution. And again, they're parallel because the slopes were exactly the same. Negative 3 over 1, negative 3 over 1. Okay, I got one more. We're not going to do this one here, okay? So again, take my red marker. So the first equation, I got to get the y by itself. It's not quite by itself. It's close, okay? So I circle it. It's positive. I don't need to change the signs. Now there's no x out there, okay? The x is over here on the other side. So I go right into my dividing by 3. And y equals 2x plus 2, okay? And now the y is by itself. You got your m and your b. So plus 2 would be the b. And then I go up 2, forward 1. Okay, now in the other equation, again, the y isn't by itself. And it's going to be a little more work to get it by itself, so I follow my plan. We got a minus in front of the 2, so we got to go negative plus negative. Now circle that. Now here when I circled, I went right to dividing, but before I divide here, I got to get rid of that negative 4x. So I would add 4x, put a plus 0x, and I add 4x to that. So I have 2y. 0x plus 4x is 4x, and then plus the negative 2. Now I can divide by my 2. Everything is divided by this 2. So now the y is by itself. That's just the wall. 4 divided by 2 is 2x. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And now I have my m, and I have my b. Okay? So now I go down to negative 1. So I go up 2, forward 1. And those lines again are going to be parallel because my m's were the same. I did the same m, so when they have the same slope like that, they are parallel. So when they're parallel, I write no solution. So let's recap, okay? So when they're parallel, I write no solution. When they cross, I mark the point and then tell what the point is. You did that yesterday. When it's the same line, it's infinitely many solutions. You can also put IMS. And then when it's parallel, it's no solution. Now, I'm going to coach up a little bit. This one, the y is by itself, so you don't need to go to your scratch paper. MB. That one, the y is not by itself, so you have to use your scratch paper, but you don't have to add or subtract x. You can just go dividing by 3. Okay, here the y is not by itself. I'll have to rewrite. I rewrote that one on your paper. Okay, next one it is by itself. Okay. Not by itself, you need scratch paper. Not by itself, you need scratch paper.